We are back in Trinidad and we are talking BATT this morning, or rather BATT's talking to us. The Banking Association of Trinidad and Tobago, in case you've got any other strange ideas. And they've got a public education drive that is... they've got a public education. I've been having a little fun with these ladies here this morning. Public education drive that's going to be starting very shortly across the banks in the banking halls of Trinidad and Tobago. And to tell us more about it, Kelly Bute-Seaton, almost said Anne again, Kelly. Kelly Bute-Seaton, the Executive Director of BATT. Good morning to you.
Thank you. Morning.
And I love this name, Dixie-Ann Dickson. Yeah, Communication Specialist at BATT, the Bankers Association. Welcome to you too.
Good morning.
Glad to have you with. You guys have been in the news and not in really everybody's popular bag these days for various issues. But you're actually coordinating now. BATT is actually coordinating something to, coming out of all that, there's always good. So now there's this coordination that's coming out. So basically, inform people, educate people about the banking system in Trinidad and Tobago. But before we get there, because we need to find out what's happening, what is the role of BATT?
Yes. Thank you, Ria. Essentially, the Bankers Association is a non-profit organization, and our members are the commercial banks. And our mandate, while we're not a bank, our mandate is simple, essentially to ensure there's institutional strengthening of the industry, and that is done essentially through coordinating with the regulators, the stakeholders being the different government bodies, different associations, ensuring that we meet international standards in terms of regulation and compliance and so forth, that information is shared, and also acting as a body that will coordinate the corporate social responsibility initiatives of this sector and educate the stakeholders. So we will keep a pulse on what is happening in the environment and ensure that we get the relevant experts to communicate with the population and different groups so that they can have the right information to make the best banking decision, essentially.
But not dictate policy.
No.
Banking Association does not dictate policies to various banks.
No, we do not get involved in individual banking operations, what one bank is doing as opposed to another. We do not dictate the policies. We do not write the policies. We are not involved in those elements. We deal with the overall industry and strengthening the overall industry and ensuring that there is some connection with the various stakeholders.
So say, for example, a bank steps out of line, does something that is not standard policy. What does the Banks Association do with respect to that? Do they step in then and say, listen, this is not what is standard policy across the globe in Trinidad and Tobago? Do you step in then?
No, well, we would not step in. We will not step in to impose anything. It's not, that is outside of our remit. However, there would be conversations from time to time, but there's never been an incident where that has happened, and it's outside of our mandate as well.
And complaints, what is the process and procedure for complaints? Dixie-Ann, you want to take that one?
Well, as you know, we get a lot of complaints from customers, and customers come and they call and to the Bankers Association, but really there's a process that they have to go through. And we advise that you go through the banks, the specific bank or the branch that you have the issue with. So you report it to the manager. If you do not get that satisfaction, and then every bank is supposed to have a dispute resolution office where they report it to. If you still is unsatisfied or dissatisfied, then you go to the Financial Services Ombudsman at the central bank. So there is where it's escalated, and the central bank will now take over and do the process and engage both the bank and the customer.
Okay, but that sounds like really severe circumstances where that may happen.
Yes.
Yes.
And that resolution process takes about 90 days, but it depends on the complexity of the issue, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
And can they call the association if they need any assistance with, and they're saying, listen, not necessary to get involved, but I have this complaint. I went to my bank. They're not helping me. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. They're not taking me on. Can they come to the association to get help, guidance as to what next to do?
Definitely, we guide them through the process. It's up to this week, actually, because since the education campaign has started, you have people calling in. So this week we spoke to a lot of customers this week, and we gave them the process and the guidance. But what we will also do, we will also advise them to call the bank first.
Right. Yeah.
And we may put them on to somebody at the bank for them to deal with it, and then we also advise them of the process.
Okay, great. Now, so that people will actually know this and have this information so they don't have to be calling the association, there is going to actually be some information sessions. It's a public education drive.
Yes.
And it's coming at a really great time. People are complaining about a variety of, fees that they may have to pay at the various banking institutions, service, oh gosh, at some of the banking institutions, a variety of things are happening. We need that interaction with our bankers. We do, because we want service. We want good service. So the BATT, you're actually going to be having some information sessions. So tell us about these information sessions that are taking place across the banks.
Well, I will basically add, first of all, that this is not really the first of its type. We have actually started this type of initiative since, for a while now, but it's not been as publicized, So maybe that is something that we need to do a better job at as well, in terms of informing the public. But whenever we do outreach to the public, we would always have overwhelming response. So there's an obvious need there for persons to understand. And in terms of talking to your banks, that's something that a customer can always do. But it's to, I guess, they need to feel empowered or something, that you know what, it's your choice as well. Yes, fees and service charges do exist. Charges exist as in any other industry, because it's a service being provided essentially. However, you do have options, you do have choice. And the only way you can find out about that is if you speak to your banker to understand, you know what, I don't really like this service that I'm being charged for. Is there an alternative? And in most cases, 99% of the time, there is an alternative that will give you a cheaper option or a more economical option to suit your means. And we advocate heavily that the online and mobile services, the technology-driven services, are very much at a reduced rate, and customers should familiarize themselves and rest assured that the banks have taken all the infrastructural and security measures in place to ensure that your investment is secured. So these are things that they should start to discuss more with their banks to get more familiar and more information on. But I'll let Dixie-Ann tell you a little bit more about the actual schedule. And
Well, actually, it has started already. It started on the 16th, and it's specific branches. There's a schedule. It's on, we are distributing it in print in newspaper, so you can see the schedule in the newspaper as well as on our website, www.batt.org.tt, and there are radio ads being played as well. So it starts from the 16th going to the 27th. So the 4 major banks are involved. So Royal Bank, First Citizens, Republic, and Scotia Bank.
I see Republic has quite a number of venues as opposed to my bank, which just has a few. It's not even in my area, unfortunately, where I live. But and then there are various times as well. Most of the times, 9 to 11, I see some of them 10 to 2. Actually, Republic Bank is 10 to 2, is what I'm seeing. Royal Bank have their times also 10 to 2. Scotiabank 10 to 12, and for Citizens, well, it varies, 9 to 11 or 10 to noon, but basically 9 to 11 as well.
Right.
So,
Well, what happened this week, they had extended the time to 1 o'clock. So even though that you may see a stipulated time, we have extended the time until around 1 for those who have started like 9 o'clock in the morning.
so that means anybody can go to these various branches.
Yes.
Because it's not all the banks.
No, it's not all the branches.
So some of these branches, and if they've got questions, they've got concerns, they can actually take it to them and hope to have them resolved. Now, do we expect, because that is what people will expect, I can't pay these fees, they're too high, and why do I have to stand 2.5 hours in that line to just see the teller, which happened to me the other day.
Right.
2.5 hours in the line, I almost collapsed. And why do I have to do this? And then you're sending me these online, say how we were, what was your banking like? We saw you just bank with you, but I really didn't, but they still sent it. So you know that it's just generated to you. How do you deal with customers like, I can't do this? Because sometimes, you send in the information and you do answer the forms that they send you. They want to know how did we perform? But nothing changes.
Well, actually, we want to talk to customers like that, actually. So the CSRs are encouraged to talk to customers like that who have real pressing issues. And I would ask you, Ria, are you an online banker?
I am. But
so why are you standing in the line?
There are certain things that I need to do face to face. So there are, and I needed to do that. And if I needed to withdraw a large sum of money, I can't do that in the ATM. There's a limit. So I need to go to the teller.
Yes.
2.5 hours.
And maybe the other persons in the line should have done the online banking.
But they also had
so they can give you the opportunity to,
Well, actually, another aspect of the whole education campaign, because it's not only external but internal as well, the banks are going to be doing training as well.
Good.
So training with their CSRs, their frontline staff.
Good.
So you'd see some improvement and greater efficiency. So it's a total rollout, a comprehensive campaign that we are doing. Because we really want to be able to provide that efficient service to the customer.
I think it's good too, simply because even when I was there, one of the ATMs went down because there were long lines for the ATMs as well. And somebody's like, hey, this one need more money. And in like 2 minutes, it was fixed. And everybody was like, you serious? And they fixed it. So, thank you all so much. So check it out. Remember, it's all in the newspapers for the sessions. So you can find out where you can go talk to your bankers.
And if I may, while you're seeing this roster here, know that this is just one of many and more to come.
Good.
So we'll be doing it in all forms and fashion throughout the year and into next year and so forth.
Fantastic.
So
we need
stay
it.
tuned.
Thank you so much. Kelly Bute-Seaton, Executive Director of BATT, and Dixie-Ann Dickson, Communications Specialist. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Let's hope things improve.
Yes.
Yes.
We'll